And those are the type of things I learned that I could then go share with the teams.
So the big question is, what are the top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams, and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? If you ever thought about this, you're not alone. No one has been able to get the answers until now.
We spent the last few years helping agents sell billions in real estate, rubbing shoulders with top producers, which got us thinking, how can we expose more people to these insights to help raise the standard in the whole real estate industry? We then realized that we could help bridge the gap by getting the secrets from the best of the best so that you can succeed. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Elite Agent Secrets. Today we've got Nicholas Giambra with us. He did 117 fucking deals in 12 months with no admin assistant, no agents, no nothing. I think that's the record for the show, everyone being on, so he gets to hold that flag. Right now, 2 years later, he's got 3 employees, 9 agents. He is the number one team at their local Keller Williams. He's been in real estate now for 8 years. He's sold over 800 pieces of real estate, totaling 180 million in transactions. Everyone, this is going to be fire. We've been talking off air. Nicholas sounds like a motherfucking gangster. We can't wait to dive in how some solo agent does 117 deals in a year by himself. No support. Everyone listening, no admin, no one. This is crazy. Nicholas, thanks for jumping on the show with us today. It's going to be a monster. How you doing?
I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you guys and be a part of the show. So thanks for having me.
Dude, what kind of fucking mental case does 117 deals by themselves, no TC, no admin, balls to the wall? What were you like working all day, every day? Take us back to what those days used to look like, or even further, how you even got started in real estate.
How did you get into real estate? Take us back 8 years before we get into that year, because I want to know what the growth curve looked like. So what were you doing before?
I was working in the restaurant industry, which I always tell people is a great transition into the real estate sales game, because it really gives you the opportunity to learn how to talk to people, no matter who they are or what they do, or if they're in a good mood or a bad mood. So it just really teaches you the essential people skills necessary to, be that accommodating personality that you need to have to be successful representing buyers and sellers and doing it at a high level. So the restaurant industry to start. And then my father was in real estate, and I thought at that time like he was a big flipper, but then I met big flippers, later on in my career, realized he was like a smaller fish, but doing his real estate at the beginning and then just crushing it, just working hard.
It's amazing how you think someone is very well off or you're doing big things until you find somebody who's doing bigger things, and then you gain the perspective of, holy shit, I thought this guy was big time, and then you find a guy who's quote unquote actually big time, and it just totally skews everything for you, right? So when you transitioned, did you just dive balls deep and right into real estate full time, or were you also part time?
I was part-time, I would say probably for the first 18 to 24 months, where I was still like phasing out of the restaurant industry, but I was still tending bar at certain places where there was, people there that I could connect with the management staff that was cool with me, like talking about real estate the whole time versus what people like to drink. So it helped make that transition into it being full-time. And that took about 18 to 24 months upon just getting licensed first. And it's a tough start at the beginning. But same with owning any type of small business. It's very hard at the beginnings. The supplemental income helped. And when I got out of the restaurant industry, it felt like as if I was getting out of jail and into the world of real estate.
What were your first couple of years like then, part-time? Did you do many deals or not?
Yeah. So when I first started, my father was in real estate. So he advised me to go under his real estate agent at the time. And she was probably like one of the most influential people in my life. She was an older agent at the time in one of the most respected offices in Western New York. And her husband is a real estate lawyer. So she knew this business from just like the straight and narrow, this is how you do things. This is ethical. This is legal. And she instilled that in me within the first 2 years of me practicing. So I always knew the straightest possible line to walk, while being an agent. And then just having that mindset as the career developed, with just like real estate's cut and dry. It doesn't have to be gray. And the more black and white you make it, the more deals you can do. So that just helped me start and transition into where we are today.
It's interesting you say that it's black and white and the more deals you can do. Can you help us understand what you mean by that? Because, whether somebody's very new and they're just listening, they're probably thinking of like, well, how can you make real estate gray, right? You show a house, you put in an offer, you do your inspections, you send in the escrow. Like what makes it black and white versus what makes it gray?
So in just a regular transaction, or at least in Western New York, there's at least 10 to 15 people involved in that deal, from the buyer and seller's agent through the whole entire process until you're at the closing table. And if you can just maintain integrity and be honest and keep things cut and dry and truthful, then you never have to spend any time looking backwards, which creates more time for you to just keep going forward and keep doing good deals because you're telling the truth and you're doing things the right way.
I love that.
I'm curious then. So it was like this part-time. I think what our listeners are thinking, which is we opened up with 117 deals in a year, and you started part-time where you got your first deals. Obviously your dad, it sounds like, helped you kind of that initially. So when you went full-time, what did that look like for you? Were you doing 20, 30 deals a year right out of the gate? Was it more? How did you get to 117? How long did that take you? Because I know now you've transitioned to more of a team role. It'd be interesting to know how you were getting those deals, how many you were getting, to kind of give a bit of context, because you've put ridiculous numbers on the board as a solo agent.
So someone told me one time about this guy named Charlie Munger, who's the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, who's Warren Buffett's partner. And Warren Buffett credits like all of the success of Berkshire Hathaway to Charlie Munger. And Charlie Munger said something. He said, take care of the work that's on your desk. If you take care of what's on your desk, the rest will come. So that was the mindset I had through those first 6 years of just being a solo entrepreneur in real estate. Just take care of everything that's right here and the rest will come. So it was a grind to get to the point where I was doing 100 plus deals a year for a short period of time, but it was by taking care of what already existed. And I think my first year may have been 8 deals, maybe 20 the second year, maybe 30 the third year. But now that we're operating the team, I have agents that are 1 year into the business that have made 80 to 100 grand this year so far. And their production capability as a new agent is way higher than where mine was as a new agent, because I was able to help them cut through the bullshit and just get right on track with what they need to do to be successful to fill their pipeline and do deals.
Yeah, which is one of the advantages we talk about all the time with joining a team, is that you get to cut. Okay, you get a cut, right? There's this a standoff between go solo, keep it all, give a bit to your broker, or joining a team. When it's the advantage of joining a super successful team is you really get to condense 5 years into a year. Because a lot of people might take 3-5 years to become pretty successful if they stick at it. But what you're saying is you're a monster. Join my team. I have a proven path here for you to make 6 figures plus in your first year, and just follow what I've done. Let's cut the bullshit and you can be successful. And then, whatever happens in the future happens. But it's a nature of following someone like you is you get to skip almost directly to success, right? They just get to avoid all that shit that you went through for all them years. Because you've blatantly stuck it out. Like you said, you've been in this 8 years now. And like you said, it was 8 deals maybe, then 20. And it's 8's nothing special. It's, it's not bad, but it's, you weren't this 100 deals out the gate person, which a lot of people want to believe. For someone that's your level of success, they believe it just came to you, right? Which isn't true.
And Andrew, there's so much packed into what you're saying. From the team leadership perspective, you need to have someone there that understands the business, that's leading, that has enough transactions under their belt to help you navigate your transactions as best as possible. But that's just one part of it. Team members look to the team leader for leads, but they also look for, the back end support and marketing support. And that's as a solo agent, it's how do I show value to the consumer at every point and every part of this transaction? And now as you transition into the team management role, it's how do you show value to the consumers, but also to the people that are underneath you.
Right. And then that's interesting. So you just, obviously we kind of skipped ahead to the team bit now. So if just going back momentarily, and then I really want to dive into actually your first topic, which is when you got to the 117, which like I said before, I think genuinely for us, we believe that is the highest for a solo agent we've ever had on the show. In fact, it's probably the highest we've ever heard of. And I know I think for you, it's about the same. I mean, for any listeners, if you know anyone that's done more than 117, and that's with no admin, that's what it's like.
No admin, no TC, like legitimately solo, right? I'm thinking, what do your days look like? How are you managing all of that from a bandwidth perspective? I got to shut the fuck up, stop bitching, moaning, complaining to Andrew sometimes because I'm handling 5-6 people at a time. Is that your phone ringing?
One place. This was the CRM. It wasn't some fancy Salesforce. It wasn't this custom built out software in Podio. It wasn't using Monday.com. It was committing yourself to the appointments that were put on my calendar and my phone and saving everybody's phone number who called me throughout those first 6 years of real estate.
So you're saying you didn't have a CRM to manage
no
this?
Systems, no nothing.
So there was no TC workflow. There was no, we have systems now in place, but there was no spreadsheet. There was nothing. What? It was just,
dude, I'm having anxiety just thinking about what you're saying. What the
every
fuck?
Attorney approval, every inspection, every PINA, every addendum, every contract, all of that, all of the entire workflow of a real estate agent done on those deals. But a lot of those deals were double-ended where I was repping buyer and seller. And I do feel like you need a ton of those deals within the mix to be able to get to that volume. And some people get like freaked out by the dual agency thing. But again, going back to if you tell the fucking truth, nothing will ever come back to hurt you. So if you tell the truth and you do what the buyer and seller says, what's the problem with dual agency?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I couldn't agree. And listen, it allows you to have half the number of clients and twice the money, right? So it's all vice versa. So, I mean, if anything, now it's just got even more impressive. I don't necessarily think it was a great idea to not have a CRM, but the fact that you did 117 and you were just that dedicated that it was like, I'm just going to record everything. You obviously had somewhat of a system. It wasn't just chance. There's no way you did 117 by chance. For anyone listening,
I think you were very methodical in the way you were processing everything. I'm assuming even though you don't have an official system, when you put in an offer, there's a certain way that you did it. When you communicate with the title company or the attorneys, there's a certain way you did it. When you were getting into a certain point in the transaction, you were writing the addendums or whatever else needed to be done, right? So it kind of became like secondhand nature, which kind of, one of the things that you're saying is you got so good at doing the day-to-day that when it came the time to do it, you didn't think much about it. You were like, cool, here's an offer. Here's what I do. Bang, bang, send it off. Here's the inspection. You order the inspection probably as soon as the offer gets accepted, right? So there was some kind of like a routine per se, even though you managed it all from your phone, right?
Yeah, I guess as I hear you talk about that, Peter, it's like, when things need to get done, do them right away. There was no like, okay, I'll get to this tomorrow. I'll do this in a couple of days. Like I'm the type of person when there's something to do, I'm doing it. And
just get it done. Don't hang out and fuck about on Netflix or whatever with the buddies and the homies.
There was no Netflix. There was no video games. It was pure fucking sacrifice. It was waking up at 6 a.m. to do what I needed to do to be the best version of myself, reading the books I needed to read, to understand the things I needed to understand to grow, and pure desire to be great. And that really started when I read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, where he really talks about in that book, like, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you can't, you know, in essence. And it was like, I want this. I knew why I wanted it. Have like a people seeking part of me that really like just gets high in a sense when people say, Nick, thank you so much. I couldn't have done this without you. So I got addicted to that. And that was at the same time as I was getting off of everything else that I was doing. Right.
Yeah.
So it was just that transition into the next thing that I became addicted to, which was helping people when they said, hey, I want to buy something, or hey, I have this property I want to sell.
I've got something super interesting. So we were talking off air about another guest who she's an absolute monster. And this is so weird. You and her do the same thing. And she's the only person that I think holds a flag to you with regards volume. She was like, I'm not and never was the best realtor. I was subpar at best at every part of the process. She was like, the one thing I did that allowed me my success, which was over $1 million in GCI as a solo agent. She was like, I just did everything right away. She was like, I because like the way my personality works is she's like, I'm just not very good at most stuff, but I have to do everything now. Otherwise it just doesn't get done. So like we were discussing other stuff. She's like, I'll do it right now. And she's like, that's how my brain works. And that was one of her key underpinnings to making $1 million in a year was she was just doing everything she got right now. There was no, I'll remember to do this. It was like, it's getting done now or I ain't getting done. So everything got done now. And therefore it backed out to huge volume. And that's so interesting that you said, I just do everything now. Like I just do it now and it gets done. And you don't have to remember. We talk about mental bandwidth a lot. So you don't have to remember anything. Right?
Yep. And then doing it right and doing it with honesty, then you really don't have to remember anything. And you just create so much more headspace for you to go do the next thing.
Which kind of rolls us nicely into really your topic number one. It's that internal struggle to be the best version of you. You've kind of touched on it a few times now, but help us understand, what does that mean to you specifically, other than just getting up every morning and quote unquote sacrificing?
So what it means most to me is it kind of comes into like some sort of emotional intelligence, which I think can be like, it's a skill that can be mastered as you go through life, but it's just being that best version of yourself. And if you can't take care of yourself, how could you possibly take care of other people? And this is a service-based industry where success is directly determined by your ability to service your clients. And that could be, through customer service or market knowledge or through construction advice or investment strategy or negotiation type of stuff, or getting people off market opportunities, or just based on your ability to network with other professionals within the industry that get involved in the deal. And if you aren't fed, if you aren't taken care of, if you don't love that person that's inside of you, how could you show up to be that best person for somebody else? It's virtually impossible. It's virtually impossible, right? To show up for other people if you can't show up for yourself. So taking care of self, I think, is like, that's the one thing most brokers should start teaching before they start teaching somebody how to log contacts into a CRM, how to be the best version of them so that they could show up for other people.
What would you say, like, if for example, an agent's joining your team, so you're like, I want them to be the best version of them. What are some of the things maybe that you make them do, or things that you advise that they should do so that they turn up every day to be, the best versions of them? And what do you do also for yourself? But, for other people listening, I think that'd be interesting to learn.
So my routine starts off pretty steady, and it doesn't matter if it's Monday or Sunday. It's pretty much the same thing every day. But I like to be up by 5 o'clock and just read a half hour. I'm not a reader. I don't enjoy reading. It's a skill I've become better at the more I've read. But I still go back and reread pages all the time because I'm not that good at it, but I know how important it is to do for the education of myself. And those are the type of things I learned that I could then go share with the team. So my schedule just consists of waking up at 5, reading for a half hour, and getting to a yoga class at 6. I'm done by yoga by 7:15, and I'm off to work by 8. And we do like a team book club on our team. So we're reading a book every 2 weeks together. That's something that I would like all the agents to participate in, although it's not mandatory. I found that if you make it mandatory, you have people there that aren't really adding to the conversation. So we encourage people to join our book club. We encourage them to take time to take care of themselves. And in that year, when I did all those deals, like, I didn't do anything but those deals. I didn't have a family. I don't have kids. I don't have a wife. I don't have dogs or cats. So I had time to do it. And I understand that people on our team now have those other obligations. And that is part of the reason why they're on a team too, because with the phase of their life that they're in, they know they can't do everything that they need to do it themselves. So it's like, I'll help you, you help me. And then we're very strict on the no lying thing, on telling the truth. Like, I don't sacrifice on that. Tell the truth. It's very fucking simple. It makes life a lot better. And we're just following our buddy Jordan Peterson. Tell the truth. Don't lie. It's not that hard to do.
Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in gaining access to our courses and coaching 100% free, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com.